So good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Donny Chaingang with me, Matt Payne. We're going to have a very busy evening tonight, I think, on the Chaingang because we are back in our traditional benchmark territory. This is the Greater London Flat Course. It's in London. It goes around and it's flat, pretty much. What more can you say? It does what it says on the tin. Now, we have got a little bit of news. If people are expecting to see the normal bear, we have changed bear. Jimmy Allen has been pulling on his bear suit. He's been practicing his growling in front of the mirror. And it means that he will be standing in instead of Russ. So, the yellow beacon, for those people who don't know Jimmy, well, here he is. Jimmy Allen, a.k.a. the bear's more famous friend, recognised by people over and above Russ, particularly when it's anywhere in the Peak District, of course, by a big hill. Ride leader in Yellow Beacon for tonight. He's actually a Schwarzenegger impressionist and loves a good assault course. If you've ever seen anybody get excited about assault course and giggle away like mad, Jimmy is your man. And of course, he's actually a Goonies fan as well. There's a few other things that we didn't dare put onto the page, but Jimmy is your man. Please play nicely, guys, as it says on the screen, because Jimmy is a very experienced chain gang rider. He's been with us since the start and has indeed stood in for Russ before. Known for his clear and precise instructions, as well as being able to keep an eye on 64 screens simultaneously. Make sure that you keep an eye on what's going on. Carl Johnson is going to be our red beacon. Let's take a little bit of a look at the map because, as you can see, we are in Greater London Flat, as everybody knows. We have got leading a 5.7k roller coaster leading. We do 3 lots of an 11.6k lap around in a clockwise direction around the route that we did on Tuesday in the opposite direction. And we finish at the Mole Sprint Gantry. Warm down is 1.5k to the blue banner, and the elevation in total is 134 metres. Now, Red Beacon, Carl Johnson, and Carl's plan, as I'm sure most people who are actually on the ride know now, is that the plan will be to stay with the main group for the first lap or so. Once it goes up, it's going to go to let's stay at around 2.5 to 2.5 watts per kilo. Now, we've got lots of experienced riders on the gang to help out. I know that we've got Chris Ball back on the gang again. We've got Keith Richardson is back in as well. Looks like the bear has got his notes already, which is exactly what we want. Greater London Flat, 5.7k lead in warm-up at 2k. 1 lap at yellow at 2.5k. 1 lap at around yellow at 3k, and then at some point there will be a go. Jimmy's done this route more times than I care to remember, so please remember, if you're out on the course, and our Velo viewer graphic illustrates this, although it is Greater London Flat, you do have a course that has a draggy climb up towards the top, drop back down to the underpass, and then climb up to the very high point of the course before you drop down onto the mall and then back around by the river. So heads up, of course, remember guys, this is the September membership. If you haven't joined us, so you've had to join on, please remember guys, you do need to join if you are a member of the DCG game, if you want to get those links direct to your inbox in advance of anybody else. We have been sending out a slightly abbreviated version of the Chain Gang notes to people, and that's quite simple because it has been absolutely manic week for both Russ and myself. So please guys, remember tonight aim is stay around the Yellow Beacon. You can see our riders lining up there with about 2.5 minutes to go. Now, looks like we've got Emma on the Yellow Beacon for the Women's Wednesdays Chain Gangs. Final bits of plans have been done. Great to get a little bit further down the road with that, and pretty much at the stage where expected announcement very, very soon. We do have, of course, lots of women riding on the standard Chaingang, and going to be making sure everybody all stays together. I'm not sure who's up to what tonight. I know Neil from the Crosscast just been saying that he is going to be taking it fairly steady. We'll see that. So the riders lined up and ready to go. Quick heads up for routes coming up as yet. No details for next week's routes coming, nor links. So keep your heads on that Facebook page. Make sure you keep on posting. We've seen loads of really, really good stuff on the Facebook pages. Mutual support, looking after people with mechanicals, fitness, health, you name it. And that is what we want from the members of the DCG, the Donny Chaingang Supporters Club. Now, there are a few people missing in action. Young Tom Lindley is not here, the baby of the group, because quite simply, he's getting his hair cut. Anyone who knows Tom, it might take some while. He may not be back by Tuesday if we're not careful. Good to see that Chris Ball's on with his Gritty socks. Neil from Gritty, my co-host on the Crosscast, is here as well. The gang getting also getting some sticking, and Mr. Ambrose was saying he remembers haircuts. That'll be very interesting. Saving his legs is Andy Singleton. Let's see if that's going to be the case. And lots of people racing. Now I'm going to be down at the cross, the Notts Derby Cross, which is at Shipley Park. So if anybody's out and about, pop down. We're going to be down there, that's for sure. Now let's have a little look. Looks like the fat cyclist, Mr. Mason, is down there. Thank you very much for letting me have that one. Indeed, it is very true. It's a good joke, and stolen with pleasure. So the team all ready to go. Time for them to start paying attention to our beacon. Question is, will they be able to get out at pace? Let's see. We're going to jump in with our red beacon initially with Carl Johnson. You can just see Jimmy Allen in the Mondrian kit, but Carl at the moment up and riding. So we're going to head into the riders. The riders start to make the way out and away from the velodrome, which for the purposes of Zwift has indeed been transported down to the Tower of London. Don't go looking for it there in real life. You won't find it. So let's dive into the ride and on to the Donny Chaingang here on the Downing Cycling YouTube channel with me, Matt Payne. So just watching Carl in action here, just keeping an eye on the group. Time to get blobbed up and regroup if you're out on the course, and try and give Jimmy as many additional instructions as we give to Russ, and a heads up. There's plenty of communication between Russ and myself during the ride. Jimmy having to do this slightly blind, so everybody knows the score. Good to see Shelley Charles in here. Charles, of course, another of our members of the DCG gang. Daratash Waller just pushing to get into the group. Neil Tukey is on here. And remember, the aim to stay with yellow. It's basically all pile on top of yellow. So good to see Jess Cecil in here. Neil from the Crosscast, nice and smooth. Neil Moore in here. John Finney, Kira Smith in. Just seen Emma, the AEO team, the Aeonian team, with their first birthday ride yesterday on Zwift. And I know Emma was riding the birthday rides, the yellow beacon for the women's chain gang. Already quickly up to speed and riding. I think she's just alongside the yellow beacon. Yep, somebody who's held the yellow beacon duties before, and someone who's very experienced Swift rider and knows exactly how much fun it is to keep control of a mad group. So hopefully we're going to see a little bit of assistance. Now let's have a little look. Nick Dorsey is here. This is a man who was slightly lambasted by me. In fact, I just basically ripped him to pieces because of his disgustingly dead salmon looking coloured kit that he wore the night before. But you know what? Super smooth. I think he may well be taking this, but I like the jersey. Nice subtle lines. Look at that. Ride-ons matching. The little blue highlight in the zip. Delicately done wheels there, and of course a Pinarello to match, eschewing the advantages of a higher up model. Mr. Dorsey going to make sure that he has got sufficient style. Now, somebody else who had fallen victim to the style police was Ted. Now, Ted normally can be relied upon, Uncle Ted, to have some decent coloured kit. The question is, has he upped his game, or does he still look like something that a bear fished out of the pond and threw back in again? Oh, very nice. Matching yellow Tron bike. Top quality yellow jersey with the nice orange and blue. Still got the same hat, but you know what? Socks are very matching as well. Quite like that nice one. So good to see people again choose different colours. Key thing, if you've got somebody watching the ride or you're riding, is to know the colours that everybody is in. Different colours makes life easy. Craig Herring was clearly not at the hairdressers with young Tom. That is for sure. Right, let's have a wander backwards through the group. Let's see where everyone is. So, who is having a little roll backwards to go see Carl Johnson? Mr. Booth, one of our very quick riders. He's definitely a high rider who we know will help absolutely anybody. And then rip it up right on the front. Good to see he's here. And then let's have a little look. It looks like Ian is in here from the Stellar Sun. So Ian going to just push his way up into the group. Mr. Saysal's just back there. Looks like Carl Johnson just ticking along nicely at the back. Our red beacon. This is what we want to see. Don't worry about Mr. Saysal. He can more than handle himself at the back of the group. Don't worry, that is for sure. So here we go. So it looks like Ian from the Stellaton jumping on as Carl Johnson makes his way up towards the back of the group. You can't afford to drop too far back, but interesting to see that the yellow beacon is adopting a Russ-like position on this, keeping it nice and steady, not going too mad, and trying to chase the under-9s football at the front, but controlling it from the rear of the group before the group takes the right-hand turn and heads up in towards Trafalgar Square. So just going to try and jump in with our drone just to get a better view. I duck underneath the trees here. Looks like it's pretty spread out at the moment with the group on the front ticking along. It looks like Jeff Saysel just pushing at the back. Mr. Stevens, I think, has gone back with Saysel and run it, but both those two more than capable of helping pull riders on. Always going to find Keith Richardson in here, and as Jimmy said, not going over 2 watts per kilo for the rollout, because it does allow people to get back into the group, particularly anybody who's joined late. We know plenty of people not in the same situation as when we started the ride, but they're actually having to come in from work. Yeah, you remember that thing that you don't get furlough from hopefully anymore. Well, people don't quite have the luxury of being able to necessarily make it with loads of time to spare. So if you're going to do a herring and come in like a wet kipper slightly late, then we want to make sure that everybody gets on board. Now let's take a little bit of a look back, just keeping an eye and on Mr. Herring. I think he's just at the back. He's usually pretty easy to spot. He's usually in the Downing Cycling coaching kit. There we are. Even got a wave guarantees he's on camera. So the deep rim front, disc back, aero frame, and I'm sure Craig is going to be just stretching his legs to get onto the back of the group. The group holding nicely together at the moment, and this being Greater London Flat, everybody's going to be pushing hard to get themselves up to the front of the group as they come around this corner, because it will stretch out. So Craig Genther in here. Looks like Mr. Mason is traditional all black here. Always makes my life slightly easier because I tried to spot him. Looks like Paul Simonite is in the gang here in the grey and orange Strava kit in the middle there. You can see Neil Morn in the group. Mr. Dowtree's made it back in once again. In from the Stelton in the red and grey, with pretty much most of the Stelton have a habit. Mr. Clark and Dale in here, just right along nice and steady. Vin Donahue in the grey and green. So good to see Stefano Pirelli is on the ride tonight. Stefano, one of our regular contributors, of course, the man behind Nonna's participation in the chain gang, looking after our riders when they go down to Nonna's in Sheffield. One of our favourite spots to go eat, grab a coffee, and generally catch up with everybody. So Stefano working well at the moment, just nicely sat in here. Mr. Bolt, that is genius. Absolute genius. That is for sure. Unleash the dogs of Door. Brilliant. If you're really unlucky, I'll find the picture of Indy doing his Hound from Hell impression. Then you really will go. You'll go scuttling back to you like a guarantee it. It's going to be very interesting. We've taken the cross race for the first time in several years. Right, just keeping an eye. Mr. Finney just having to put a bit of a squeeze on to jump back in with the group. Looks like Neil Tukey just getting a little drop out. I think just waiting for Mr. Finney a little. No, big kick now coming in. Mr. Pillsworth doing the same as the group comes around the turn. And they are going to be making the way down now onto the course proper. So this is where you join the course. It's for this run down underneath Admiralty Arch, and you can just see it above our riders' heads. And then the riders head down through the start finish banner. Remember, it's 3 laps in total. The group just a little bit strung out after that quick run through underneath the gantry. And looks like everybody just about holding steady. Remember the instructions from our ride leader, from our bear number 2. So on the women's DCG, we have the boss, that's Emma. We have the bear, which is Russ. We have the bear's more famous friend, and that is Jimmy Allen. Jimmy, of course, keeping check of everybody here in that yellow beacon roll. Might even manage to get to jump on with Jimmy soon. Just steadily working our way up and round everybody. It's like spot when Matt actually manages to get the control of the mouse right. Okay, so Jimmy Allen, the man himself, taking up the duties of a red, yellow beacon even. It's also done red, but good to see. Nice, loads of instructions from Jimmy. Jimmy's been on the receiving end as well as riding this for so many rides. It's a good job we don't give out air miles, or should we say DCG miles, to anybody, because it'd be a long way through them. So Jimmy Allen doing the business and holding them together. Guys, remember, follow your beacon, just about holding us a blob here. Nice big drop, a nice big ride-on drop there on lots of riders in with the group. So the pack holding on. Shelley Charles just Been a little jumpy on the front there, but he's probably glad to be back out. He's suffering last Tuesday. We'll see whether or not he's going to be able to hang on in towards the end. The red beacon nicely tucked on the back of the group as well. So it's going to no doubt ramp up as we work our way around. But this is the first of 3 laps here. Our group riding well at the moment. And as you can see, the pack holding together nicely. So now heading down and away from the top of Hyde Park Corner, our riders coming down with Buckingham Palace on their right hand side, St James's Park on the left hand side. Keeping nice and smooth, going to be taking the right hand turn around the front of the Palace and then onto Birdcage Walk. It's great to see everybody rolling along well. So it looks like Darrell just having a little bit of a drop back just so that he can accelerate up and push up a little bit onto the front there. The crowd's lining the edge of the course. So it looks like Gareth Mason just keeping the pace nice and steady on the front. Carl Johnson on the rear, sandwiched in between our yellow beacon. Jimmy Allen, everybody working nicely together here as we come down past the barracks and head down alongside St James's here. Just looks like Ian from the Stellaton just rolling off the back a little bit here. I think Carl's just keeping his eye on him. I'm not sure whether Jimmy or any of the gang know whether Ian is going to likely to go flying up to the gang at the front or not. Let's jump in with Ian at the moment and pull some stats up for him too with a bit of luck. And here we go. So Ian just about to see Darrell Waller coming flying through. So it looks like Carl just being a little careful here, just giving it a little bit of a kick on to the group in front, just watching the riders they come around this turn. And Carl just having to do a little bit of a push to get back on in with the group here. If we jump up in the sky here, he's just having to do a little bit of work to get himself back in to the pace. So the group just fractured a little bit. You see the yellow beacon just about to get caught by the red, just jumping his way back in. So Jimmy Allen here just keeping the pace within the limits, as he said. Anybody drifting off the front is leaving behind a yellow beacon who is very good at sticking to the numbers. So a gap forming between the front group and the rear group at the moment. The rear going to tick at the pace dictated by the beacon. The front probably going to need to just ease just a touch at the moment. If you think it's nice and easy in the middle of the pack, that's because you're in the middle of the pack. So another split forming on the front. Clearly people need a little reminder of their primary colours, and which is yellow. So currently from the yellow beacon to the front, we've got about 8 seconds between the front and the back of the group. 8 seconds. If you're in the front, not enough. Let the gang get back together again, please. So Neil Tukey just squeezing onto the back of the gang here. Neil, another rider who we know has got plenty of power. Nick Dorsey, the man who's retaking his title as the best dressed man in cycling, back on the gang again. Somebody who I know is looking forward to the fact that Cross is not just coming, but it's going to arrive on Saturday and Sunday for most people. May even bump into Nick. There is a vicious rumour that next week I may indeed head up to go see a Yorkshire point. I've got my flat cap ready. I've done my time travel back in time, and hopefully may well catch up with a few of the Yorkshire crossers. Never know. So just seeing Carl just doing a little bit of pulling a few people back into the group. Looks like Ian had a drop out there, so Ian just jumping back in with the pack. Just I think seeing a couple of people just dropping back to go help the team. So technical issues for Ian being resolved, and just getting a hand back on, just coming steaming down the side there. Carl just dropping back. Every little bit of assistance counts. Just seeing Craig Herring and Daratashul Waller just pushing on to squeeze up to the front group as we start to head away from the river now. Let's just give it a check. It looks like Keith doing his usual fantastic job. If anyone ever really did represent what we love our strong riders to do on the chain gang, it's exactly what Keith Richardson does. Strong rider can be fighting up at the front, goes back, helps riders at the back consistently. So on this 2% drag, going to take the slight right dog leg here in towards the square. This is where the front will tend to just squeeze away. So Jimmy Allen and gang now are making the turn, taking the right along the side of Hyde Park Corner, heading in towards the Serpentine. That's going to be on the left-hand side of the riders as they make their way along. We drop the map in. You can just see the lake top left-hand side here. No open water swimming today for anybody. So now running along the right-hand side of Hyde Park, just behind the houses and shops here, in fact. And then it's going to be down into Hyde Park Corner, down the underpass, and then up the far side. So it looks like we've got the Supremo of the spreadsheet on the gang here. Got Gail Phillips in going for the full stealth option. Fully black bike once again, full black kit. Plenty of ride-ons on board though. So our red sheet, the spreadsheet for the red beacons, the mastermind behind that, nicely squeezing in with the gang here. As they come up on to this drag, we're going to see if everybody can hold it together. It's looking good from the view from above. Let's take a little bit more of a detailed look back. So just see Mr. Richardson and Mr. Johnson here. They're squeezing on big stuff, 4.5 to nearly 5 watts per kilo, just to squeeze into the back of the gang. Which is very nicely done, super smooth. Mr. Osmond just tucked in on the back with the group all around the yellow beacon. Nice smooth riding. I have to say that the chain gang generally is pretty smooth these days. Most people playing the game nicely, which is what we want. Since we've introduced the cut-off 1 hour before, and since we have given a few people warnings, there has been no real misbehaviour, and the only time people go through it actually is when they make a mistake or they get a tech issue. So a massive thank you to everybody for making the chain gang do what it should, go quicker and quicker and quicker as we go through, following the leaders. So over the top of the high point of the course, onto the descent. Looks like we've pretty much got most people on board. It is a little strung out, as we all know. As you go over the top of a crest, it does have the propensity to stretch, to concertina out, and unless the front squeeze back and the back squeeze forwards, then we tend to find we get the odd gap opening. Our red beacon just drifting a little bit at the rear there. Let's have a little look up in front. No, looking pretty good at the moment. So just keeping an eye on the back here. Looks like Mr. Cannon just taking a little bit of a squeeze back from the back to push back in at the moment. Now we said Our ride leader, Jimmy Allen, was full of good instructions. So as you may see, Ted and the gang discarding the map. We've gone past those paper things. Even I, who are absolutely addicted and got shelves full of the things, don't use them. It's the only thing a map's for. I'm sure, like music and commentators and bikes and wheels and courses, there's something for everybody. I mean, let's face it, even Rob Wimble likes his kit. So we have 2 laps to go and we hit the line this time. Our rider's just squeezing along nicely at the moment. Nobody going too mad, I don't think. We'll have a little look. Looks like Shelley Charles just start pushing from the back to the front, and looks like our riders on the women's category equally doing so, not going mad at this stage. We're going quicker and quicker steadily. So it looks like the gang just started to distance the riders at the back. We're seeing a few 3.5 watts per kilo disappearing off down the road at the moment. Only on lap number 2 of 3. Yellow Beacon being distanced. Sometimes it pays not to talk. Sometimes it pays not to say anything. Do you know what? I've just watched that very nice regroup there. Just bringing the yellow back up. Self-patrolling, self-policing. No words needed. That's what the Donny Chaingang's all about. Red beacon working at the back. Yellow beacon staying to the numbers. Brilliant stuff, guys. Really funny to watch the messages. Jeff Say So playing his usual game. How many miles or Ks to when the trigger's going to be? Bad news for you. We know where the trigger is, Jimmy and I honest. Nope, we haven't got a clue. If we don't know, you sure ain't going to know. Nice and easy. Look at this, super smooth, super cool. Keeping it together, the red beacon holding nicely in here. Gang holding together well. Jimmy controlling the front, Carl patrolling the back, making sure that nobody goes mad. Do you know what? Jimmy's able to enjoy the ride at the moment, I think. So it looks like Craig Herring just going to go out the back. So Craig dropping off the back to give it some beans to get back onto the front, telling the guys not to wait for him. So just jumping in with Craig at the moment, just rolling at 21k to go. Everybody ticking along nicely. Craig just dropping back to go do some sprints back in to the back. Just stretch those legs out ready for a later kick. Quite a lot of people like to do that. The best way to do it is exactly what we want to see. Drop off the back, give it a kick, get back in again. As you can see, Craig going from the back, then once he gets in the pack, straight off the throttle and nicely into the gang. Smooth running, nicely done, sir. And as you can see, looking nice and tight as we're going to take the right hand turn up and away from the river once again. So just watching the group now make the way up, going to be heading up this little bit of a climb. One or two people just taking a little bit of a roll towards the back. This is the 1% green, doesn't feel like much. 2% very shortly, eases a little bit as you go in and around the squares, then kicks back up again as you go up towards the top of the climb in. It's hardly a climb by Yorkshire turns, that is for sure. Before you kick around back down under the underpass and then up the other side. I'm absolutely loving the fact everybody's trying to second guess Jimmy, who is not in his usual role of surprise attack under the underpass going for a long one, but he's now ride leader. It is absolutely brilliant because nobody's got a clue. Russ has done this so many times. He's picked loads of different spots. Jimmy in the moment sat at the back just waiting and waiting, watching, and I hope chuckling to himself at everybody's speculation. So Kieran Smith being falsely modest, he's indeed the sprint king, although he can kick uphill as well, former hill climb medalist. Don't forget, of course, we've got Gareth Mason, the man himself. Fat cyclist. One of our larger riders on the chain gang. Only equalled by his humongous power output, it has to be said. Well, it's good to see that everybody is playing the game. I love Kieran Smith. I see you just dropped something on. Hopefully it's a few kilos. Mr. Herring is on form as well. Absolute genius. What's heavier, a ton of feathers or a ton of Gareth Mason? Think Vin could use that at school. So Red Beacon working well, the gang working well tonight. Steady, have a little look around, see who's playing where. Mr. Callaway in here, can see Liam in the gang. Mr. Briggs back, Carl back with us, Keith Richards, Keith Hayward back in, John Finney, Stefano, Keith Richardson, Jamie Pearson still in, Ted in here, Dr. D in as well. Good to see Dr. D back in the gang and riding strongly. And the go has gone. He's got on the downhill. Now's the time to push. You've got to get on it. You've got to put the kick in, because here it goes. On the downhill he went. He didn't leave it to the uphill. And look at the volume of feather power-ups, of aero power-ups, of drafts. Everybody's hit the boost button. Everybody has gone on Super Mario and are trying to stay with this group into the uphill section. This is particularly vicious on the lighter riders, actually, like Jimmy. So he's not gone for a personal attack here. He's definitely gone on what is actually going to be harder for him. But now is the time to keep that pressure on. Keep those watts in there. The groups will now form. If you're pushing, you'll get into a relatively good group. If you're not pushing, what you'll find is you'll end up in a group that maybe you had the chance of being better than, and so this is where you really got to absolutely nail it to get into a fast pack. Now just sitting in with Dr. D as on the front, we are seeing a bit of a kick on up at the very front of the group. We're going to run our way up through the bunch if we can. Just sitting in with Daryl Tatchell-Waller, who's currently just gassing it to try and get himself up there. He's in with the main group. They are left chasing Booth up the road there. That looks like it's Kieran Smith and Gareth Mason, both giving it a little bit of beans on the front, which is very interesting because it's a long way to go with 1 lap to go. That is pretty mean stuff. But it is Kieran Smith. It's going to be Booth right on his wheels. It's also going to be Gareth Mason. They went hard there, and Simon Booth, Gareth Mason and gang just on the way through. So just dropping down the team behind. Nice big pack, impact number 2, working hard. They're chasing these 3 riders, and here they come. They're going to close down on the wheels. This is one heck of a group up in front. Herring's in here, Osman, Jimmy Allen, Pearson, Darrell Tattershaw. Waller is off the front as they make the catch. Goes run it. So Simon Run It, the man who nearly didn't make it. A man whose internet wasn't playing ball on his way in. Something that could happen to anyone. I've got to admit, we take extra steps here in the Old Beer Cellar Studios. We've got extra lines in, and we also actually, even if the entire power went out in the entire Eckington area, took down all the power in the mains power, it took down all of the lines, we can actually keep on running for about 300 hours in the event of a power cut. So plenty of time to get a few chain gangs out, even if we couldn't do much else, couldn't make a coffee, but we'd be fine for getting the chain gang to everybody. So this group working well together. This is group number 1 on the road at the moment. Just looking to see where group number 2 is. Group number 2, I think it's going to be in about 6 seconds at the moment. So we're going to take a little check back here. So this has our 2 women riders just chasing that yellow. We've just got Gail Phillips in here. Got Ted, we've got Emma, we've got Keith Hayward in here. We've got Ian Henderson in. Sean Ferrer's a big in. He really does motor. Mike Killingsworth and Mr. Langley more than capable of pushing on here. And they're not all that far off the group in front as well. So there are a lot of riders working together to try and get with the leading group. This is group number 2 on the road. So is it 3 or is it 4? It's like dot to dot up the road at the moment. So this looks like this is group number 3. Let's take a little bit of a check so we can get to group number 2. So this is group 2. There is somebody just dangling between the 2. So group number 2 with Clark, Samuel, Gale, Pillsworth in here, Tukey, Oral, Ambrose, all in group number 2. Group number 3, another 11 seconds back. That's Malin, Andres, Leach. It's going to be Catley, Garfoot, Richardson, Dorsey's in here, Callaway. Then it's a little bit of a drop back then. So this is actually group 3 because there is 1 rider stuck in no man's land. So this, we're just going to try and take a run back through, see where they are. Here we go. Next group coming around that turn now. This is where they've got to work together. If you work together, you will close down on the riders in front. Just seeing Carl Johnson. Our Red Beacon actually has got an incredibly fast bus tonight. I'm rather glad I'm not riding, so let's have a little look. We've got Martin Bolt, we've got Carl Johnson, Stefano Borelli in here. Neil from the Crosscast said he was going to drop into the Red Beacon group, but this is a very, very fast Red Beacon group. It's got to be said here. They are absolutely motoring. So the red bus is not so red as just red because it's on fire rather than because they're taking it easy. And I think we're going to see the yellow coming down in the opposite direction. So not much separating them at this stage. The pressure on 1 or 2 people just trying to string this out on the way through. We're going to run our way up the road. I'll let them get around the corner first. So just taking a run up through the groups. They're only sort of between about 8 and 10 seconds between each of these groups. Just in with ball at the moment in this group. This is group number 2. These are the riders left chasing our leaders, leading the group back together once again. So Tom Elliott in here. Saysal in, Childs in here, Mason in here. It is a who's who in the gang. So Elliott just pushing on the front in the blue. Ash Dowtree moves up in the green and gold. Osman in the black. Neil Morn in the Stellarton colours. Thomas Rollett's in here. And Rollett at the moment just on the front in the black. Just pushing. Just keeping that pace high. Elliott just diving around the side there. It just starts to rain. Just what you don't want. But it will disguise the distance between the groups. It means that this group can't see behind them. The chasing group. 14 seconds between group 1 and 2, didn't it? And it looks like the women's yellow beacon, who is looking forward to the cross season, as Gail Phillips has summoned up the rain. She definitely didn't do a rain dance. I can confirm that. It's certainly looking like Ambrose, Gail and Co at the moment being distanced from the group. In front, they're 12 seconds on the group immediately behind. So we have our group here. This is going to be 9 riders chasing them. A next group on the road is a lot bigger than 9, I think, here. This is going to be a 4, 8, 12 riders chasing. So 12 chasing 9 at the moment. Going to drop back one more group if we can. So this is the group immediately behind them. That's going to be 6 riders. So everybody really is dropping into groups. But as you can see around the corner, the Samoa group chasing. This is group number 2, chasing our yellow jersey group. We're going to have to drop down with a drone camera rather than using the helicopter here. Now they've got the work cut out. The group in front is bigger and is pushing on substantially. So they need to keep the pace high. They can't afford to relax too much. They will get distance more and more by that leading group if they're not careful. You can just see that beacon going up into the sky in front. So I'm going to take a little bit of a run up the road. This is our yellow beacon group. So the pressure on the front at the moment, I think that is going to be Rollett just keeping it stretched out. Now Run It comes up to the front. Mason, third wheel, all in black with the disc wheel on the grey bike. Just seen coming up over the top here. It's like Craig Genther looking strong. Herring in here as well. Crease on the wheels. Varty's on the wheels. The beacon is in here. Jimmy Allen holding this group nicely after working hard earlier on. Shelley Childs is in with the pack. So Shelley clearly feeling better after that cold. So just getting news come through on one of our regular riders on the women's Wednesdays. Out on the tour in Portugal on a stage race, Lotta Mansfield has just annihilated a lot of the race field. Don't know her actual position at the moment, but she's apparently the pings are coming through. There's about 20 QOMs disappeared in stage 1 of the Portugal stage going to Lotta, so a good sign that she's riding strongly. Meanwhile, up in the Donny Chaingang, in the rain in London, not in the sunshine in Portugal with the RFDA squad. Just seen groups number 1 rolling round well. Group number 2 still not having given up here, but that gap is at about 26 seconds here between group 2 and group 1, so the work being done is working nicely behind. It's only 15 seconds, and 15 seconds is definitely an only. Back to the group behind them. Just going to have a little look here. You can see they're pretty lined out here. Looks like Vin Donahue, Steve Hilbert in there as well. Richard Langmead working well. Carl in this group. Looks like Clarkendale, Stevens, Cannon in here. Then drop back a little bit further. This is the group immediately behind that. So it looks like we've got Sean Ferrin in here. Sean, I do like that Vitality kit, I have to admit. Not subtle. Anyone who's ever seen our full speed events fan will know that's definitely the case. Got Mike Killingsworth nicely in this group. Ted with his new updated and much better kit in the yellow on the yellow Tron bike. Looks like Keith Hayward is in here on the pink Tron. Just going to take a little check. Gail Phillips in here in the black by the look of it. So Gail riding strongly a little bit further back. You got Andy Singleton. This is our Red Beacon group. And the Red Beacon group are absolutely nailing it. This is probably the fastest Red Beacon group in the history of the Chain Gang. It is absolutely nailing it here. And I don't think I've seen the Red Beacon group at 35k be anywhere near as aggressive, anywhere near as quick, and anywhere near as fast. I don't know what's happened. The bear's gone, and this lot are all on the porridge, that's for sure. Right, round the corner, let's track our way up to that leading group. In danger of losing somebody off the front if I'm not careful. Tracking back through these groups as we come up onto the climb. So here we go. We're on the last lap. This is our leading group making the way now away from the river. If it comes to a sprint, we're expecting a Mason Kieran Smith drag split attack on the front. I think here just coming up the hillside, just going to jump in with Daryl Tatchell Waller. He's trying to break this down. Mr. Mason had thought of it on the spur of the moment. Don't pre-do the jokes, believe me. They won't be even slightly funny. Not that they are anyway. So Daryl Tatchell Waller, no joke in his attack here. This is a proper full-on, full barrel. I'm going to make this count moment. You can just see behind him. It looks like Booth is leading the chase. Booth's got a gap on the main pack at the moment of about 3 seconds. But he's not getting across here at the moment. Tatchell Waller's going to want some assistance, but he actually hasn't got that far to go. It could well come back together again. Well, looks like after that little attack there, the group coming sweeping past. No proper counter-attack coming at this stage. Somebody's got to go for this. Mr. Elliott on the front here. Run it now, pushing up at 5 watts per kilo. And he's keeping the pace high. Simon Runnett. That's a good revs there. 122 revs a minute. He's squeezing it out here. So Runnett squeezes on. Just see him easing out as he comes through. That was some little rev out there. Now here comes Elliott. We can see Elliott go over the top here as Craig Herring is behind. So Elliott's over the top. So Elliott now leading this pack down. They are starting to put the pressure in. We're starting to see people having to put in feather flags, or is it a feather flag to get an attack in? So Herring has gone here. Herring's gone hard. He's put the aero in. He was kicking at 8.5 watts per kilo when he engaged that power up, and that means it's catapulted him down here at 60 plus kph. He's got a nice gap, 3 seconds here. Now, this is where he's got to do it. Can he keep this clear? He's got Kieran Smith coming. You just see Herring just easing it off now. Mr. Genther now coming past the counter-attack coming from Genther. He's gone hard again. Genther, though, being pulled back this time by Daryl Tatchell Waller. Tatchell Waller comes, and look at Kieran Smith and Mason and Booth. They're there. They're hovering. They're like two black, nasty shadows sat waiting to swallow them up like something out of a horror movie. And look at this, here they go. The black tide is coming. It is Mason and Kieran Smith that they have. Our knight is shining on. It is Mr. Booth there. That shield on his back. Can he keep the riders at bay with it, or is he able to go on the offensive and slay some mighty riders in the shape of Smith and Mason? So plenty of riders with some popped out legs here, but nobody's gone hard enough. Looks like Jimmy Allen has gone. The yellow beacon has rolled off the back of the pack. You can just see it's starting to get twitchy here. As you go down this slope, now seeing Simon run it back on the front here. Can he hold them off? No, he can't. He's not going to keep hold of this. It looks to me like Mason and Kieran Smith are in here. Massive kick here from Craig Genther, not to get rolled as they come through. As over the top comes Rollitt. Now, Rollitt keeps on putting in some great rides here. He keeps on rolling over the top. Is he going to get taken by the big guns? You can just see Rollitt. Another kick here. Just keeping on, putting the pressure on. Just wanting to stretch them out. Can he keep them under the sun? He's keeping on going here. He's doing a good job. Well, they're just letting him dangle at the moment. They're just leaving him in the wind behind. They're biding their time. Smith with the flat cap in black. Mason all in black. No hat on at all. Both riding through. Also in black, you can just see Darryl Tattershaw-Waller coming up with the orange cap on. Then in the grey, that's going to be Craig Genther who's going to lead them through and on to the mall at the moment. So the gantry is in the distance. The question is, who's got the big kicks? Who's got the big beans? We're going to jump in with Kieran Smith. We've got to pick a rider. Who's it going to be? We're going to go with Smith today. Mason's beside him here. So Genther's gone early. Kieran Smith's coming at him. Mason's trying to hold the wheel of Smith. Smith has put the nitrox on here. He's lit the afterburn as he is gone. But Mason is coming 100 metres. Come on, Gareth. You've got to get him here. No time left. He's run out. Oh, it came so close that time. Oh, my goodness. What a way to ride. Booth is third place there. What a ride by all of this front group. They have absolutely annihilated the riders immediately behind. That was some ride. We're going to just drop back to see the next riders come in. I think Mr. Varty just getting distance on that running. That was so close. I love the chain gang. Don't think I've publicly declared that before, but I do. I wouldn't still be doing it after all this time otherwise. That is something special. Well done, gang. So, Jeff Sayso going to come through just ahead of our beacon. A massive thank you to Jimmy jumping in at short notice. The legendary, the Bears' more famous cousin, the one and only Jimmy Allen. Massive thank you, Jimmy. Really appreciate it. Next up, I think Rob Wimble is a little bit further back, just getting jumped across the course a little bit here as Craig Herring goes for a monster sprint in through the line. He goes 9 watts per kilo. We're just going to drop back a touch. It's going to be our next sprint in is from this group. Who's going to get it? Oh, some power there. That was some leg speed going through as Paul Simonite really sprung that one out from the blocks. Just see Mr. Clark go through as well. Just going to drop back. I think Neil Tukey is going to be our next rider. So Tukey just on his way in towards the line. So it's going to be Tukey coming through. I think immediately behind him we're going to see the sprint from this big group here. Now, who's going to have the power to lead this out? We're just in with Catley at the moment, but I think Leach is going to lead this out. Leach is at the front. Dubash chasing. Dubash going along with Malin. Looks so close at the front, I'm sure. They'll let us know just who got that as they came through. we're going to just try and jump up the road a little bit because we do have riders just a little distance here. I think Andres just in danger of getting caught here if he's not careful. Clarkendale is just behind him and the group, but that gantry is coming up pretty quickly. He's into that last 200 metres. So bear in mind at 200 metres, but here comes Clarkendale. Clarkendale's going to go over the top here. He's going to roll him just before the line, but look at this. Are they all going to get rolled by Vin Donoghue? They are. Donoghue just takes that. What a sprint there as he goes through. That is absolutely flying stuff. Steve Hilbert on his way through. Stevens, Cannon, Briggs goes through. A great riding gang. Okay, we're going to drop back once again because Cannon's now on his way in. Cannon's just in front here, but I think Mike Killingsworth is going to put in a big kick. Can they all hold off Ted, who's coming hard behind? Ted coming. Is that big yellow stick going to take him out? Look at the lace go on Sean Ferron. Ferron just holds off Ted there. Great sprint by the two riders there. Told you that kit was quick. Anything but dead salmon colours and you go fast. Gail Phillips coming through. Our fastest rider. From the female category coming in, Gail, our Red Beacon Supremo, doing a great job there. Just going to drop back to, I think this is going to be Keith Hayward. Great ride by Keith. As always, he comes through in front of what may be the fastest Red Beacon group ever in the history of the Chain Gang. By a long, long way. This is superb race, so close to that front group. The group's superb tonight. Thank you so much, everyone, for riding. Right, let's have a look who's going to take this out. We're going to follow Mr. Johnson because he's been our Red Beacon. I can't even keep up with him with the cameras. So here we go. Carl Johnson on the run into the finish. He saved his legs. Look at the power of the man. He's been taking it fairly steady on his run to the line, but he doesn't muck about there. Big old push there from Gary Pattison, Stefano Burrani. Looks like Mr. Singleton coming through. Andy Singleton. It's going to be Rob Wimble coming through with Emma and Neil. You spot the cross riders. Wimble, Emma and Rob, Emma and Neil from the Crosscast all racing this weekend in the first Notsun Derby. As they come through, just watching our women's yellow beacon on a way in towards the line. Well, that is a real record. Some fantastic riding. Well done, gang. Brilliant. Did you see Jimmy Allen going off across in the opposite direction there? So as our riders now head into that warm down, we're going to jump back in. So massive thank you to our riders for behaving themselves when the bear wasn't able to make it. Big thank you to Jimmy Allen, to Carl Johnson, our beacons. Thank you everyone who rode. Gotta say, brilliant ride tonight. Absolutely loved it. I spent half the time watching, not commentating on it, but absolutely love the Chain Gang for days like this when you guys absolutely nail it. Make sure, if you haven't already got your membership in, keep us being able to do this, to keep on coming back week in, week out, every Tuesday, every Thursday, get those women's rides in. If you can join, please do. We try and give you as many rewards as we can. Not only do we give you the links first if you're a member of the Supporters Club, not only do we give you info of where the ride is, where the start is, where the finish is, where the drops are, where the climbs are, where you're going to be going for your warm-up, how long everything is. We also do everything but tell you where the go is. We tell you what the course is going to ride like, give you links to Zwift Insider, videos of the rides that have been on there. Generally, all this coming out to our riders as soon as we can when we get those links come from Zwift. I'm just working hard to put those links in and get those rides in to the guys. All you need to do to keep us being able to do this, donate. You can do it if you just join a single ride, but if you join up, remember, it is £20 a month. And that means that if you're going to be riding regularly, you get the link straight away, you're getting in front of anyone else. If it gets busy in the winter, we will keep the priority, no matter what, with those riders who are members first. They will get priority. Everybody else has that last 45 minutes to click the link and get in from when they are sent it. If you join a ride, you get it with 45 minutes to go, and in that time everybody has to join, whether that is 4 riders or 400 riders. So just remember, guys, to go into winter, it's going to pay to be a member. It's how we make sure that we look after our members. You don't get out for now in this world, particularly if you're in Yorkshire. So remember, guys, make sure you're a member of the gang. I am going to head off. It's been I can't remember how many days straight of recording and broadcasting. Far too many. I'm pretty much voiced out for a bit. I'm going to be back on the mic on Saturday. If you're around in Shipley at the Notts Derby, I'll see you there. I'm going to be there all day. Sunday, you can catch up with me on the City Mountain Bike YouTube channels, the Facebook pages, and if you are watching around the world, you'll be able to catch up with it on lots of international broadcasts as well, as we bring you the World Championship XCE, the cross-country eliminator that is going to be from Graz. And then once we've done that, we'll be back on the Chaingang again on Tuesday. I don't know the route. Hope Russ knows the route. Russ incommunicado for a couple of days, just having some downtime out and away. So please remember, guys, get your memberships in if you haven't done so already. Have a great weekend. Hopefully, you never know, I might even manage to get on the bike myself in the intervening period. It's been far too long. So thank you for watching. It's been a pleasure putting words to the action. And we'll catch you again on the Donny Chaingang Downing Cycling YouTube channel. And that's going to be on Tuesday.